course, if we talk about action comedy movies from the 80s and 90s, everybody has heard about Lethal Weapon and Rush Hour, but not a lot of people may have seen this hidden masterpiece of a movie called Tango Cash, which is in a creative class of its own. The feature that makes this movie enjoyable more than most is the fantastic chemistry between Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell, because really, you see, like in those other movies I mentioned, which also do have a good contrast between the two lead actors. And that is really what a good action comedy is really about. You really see that in this movie that Stallone and Russell really enjoy their time at the set, both when they make the jokes and the chemistry comes at a natural pace. What more than most makes this a good action comedy is the way you see how the movie is done with the scenes and the general mood of this movie. They make it look cool with the explosions, the tension is on top, plus the scenes really towards the end makes it feel like Lethal Weapon, because really, those scenes are great and gives you a high sense of a climax. This action comedy is right in the face and it entertains you a lot. Basically, I would say that more than most, it shows how action comedies were better before, because there's a lot of cool ridiculousness that you do not really see in other action comedy movies today. You had a movie recently called The Fall Guy, but more than most, even though that also was ridiculous fun, it can't beat this movie where you are really entertained from start to finish, which is a rare feeling when watching action comedy movies these days. With this, Rush Hour and Lethal Weapon, which are the best action comedy movies I've seen, you really see how it should be done, and all those are examples on how action comedy movies were much better made in the old days. Basically, I would say that this underrated masterpiece that has gone under the radar is an all but gold kind of movie, which really shows that level of underrated in a lot of the scenes. It is simply brilliantly casted and shows how you more than most, how people were much more occupied with getting a good cast before you made a movie in the old days, which in today's movies is not the same, because more than most directors are more interested in building the right agenda for the movie before they pick the cast, which is the wrong play in almost every waking moment. I had a lot of fun watching this movie, and after watching this one, I might be looking at other action comedies from the 1980s or 90s, because the action comedy movies today may work in some of the cases, but really compared to the movies I mentioned in this video, I believe you might not see another action comedy as good as we saw back in those decades. But for me, if we talk about ratings, I will give it an 8 out of 10, and it really had my adrenaline pumping from start to finish.